Hello viewers, welcome. I am Shalini Pandey, Assistant Professor of English in Government TCLPG College, Janjgir. And today we are going to discuss a very famous poem called 3 Years She Grew. This is a very famous poem written by William Wordsworth. So let's begin. This is Lucy. See how beautiful she is. 3 years she grew in sun and shower is a poem composed in 1798 by English poet William Wordsworth. It was first published in the Lyrical Ballads collection. So this is a poem which was published in Lyrical Ballads collection, and this collection was written by both two poems. One is Samuel Taylor Coleridge, another is William Wordsworth. And in this poem, there is a series, and in this series, Wordsworth has contributed 5 poems, Lucy series, and it describes the relationship between Lucy and nature. Okay, there is a relationship between Lucy and nature, and he is describing this relationship in a very sentimental way, and the care with which nature has shaped Lucy. There is a 3-year-old girl called Lucy, and nature loves her, and she has great care for that Lucy. And then she dies, but unfortunately, she dies at the age of 3. And this poem echoes Wordsworth's view of the harsh reality of life, how life is so cruel. Now let's discuss the critical summary and the development of thought. In this poem, 3 years she grew in sun and shower. Wordsworth writes about 3 years old girl called Lucy. 3 years she grew is one of the Lucy poem of William Wordsworth, the greatest poet of nature. William Wordsworth is known for his love of nature. He is passionate about nature. He belonged to 19th century. In 19th century, everybody loved nature, but foremost among them was William Wordsworth. The poem is elegiac in nature. It has qualities of elegy, and it deals with the mystery of death. There is a mystery, and the mystery is of death and consequent grief. How death lead to grief, sorrow. There is a young girl, Lucy by name, innocent and lovely. She is very lovely and she is very innocent. She is loved by nature, and nature takes her under her care. Nature considers and nature thinks that she is like a lovely flower never sown on the earth. She is so beautiful. She is so lovely, outwardly and inwardly also. Her heart is also beautiful, and her face is also beautiful. So nature thinks that there is no lovely flower better than her which was sown on this earth. She is the loveliest of all. Nature promises to produce her as a perfect woman. Nature want to produce her like a very perfect girl and a woman, and dreamed that the girl would play in rocks and plains and would learn both law and impulse. The girl will learn discipline also and emotions also. She will learn everything, and she will learn restraint and motivation in lap of nature. Nature wanted to make Lucy feel that nature had the power to see and guide her everywhere. Nature wants that Lucy should realize that she is always with her. That is, nature is always with Lucy like a mother. She should realize that. And whether in hills or in the field, in a glade or among the trees, nature want to bring her up on the right lines, curbing evil desires and inspiring the child to lead a noble life. Nature wants that nature will control the evil desires of Lucy, and nature will motivate good desires of that girl. Nature will control her conduct. She will be in perfect control of that nature like a mother. This will prevent Lucy from doing any wrong deeds, and will motivate her to do good deeds. Okay, nature aspires that the girl would learn the vital feelings of humanity from each and every element of nature. Each and every elements of nature, like a cloud, like a mountain, like a tree, streams, everything will educate Lucy and make her to become a perfect human being and a perfect woman. For 3 years, it continued to grow in all kinds of weathers. Years were passing, and everything was good in those 3 years. Everything was normal. And she was having all the delight of nature, all the delight of weather. Then nature decided to educate her and make her a woman according to her own plan. So nature is like a mother to her. So she had a plan for Lucy, that how I will grow those that child, like our mother have plan for us, na? That what we will become, what ambition we will have. Mother Nature feels that all natural objects such as rock, plain, earth, heaven, glades, or bowers will exercise a very healthy influence on her and supervise her growth. So those elements which belong to nature, like a glade means open area in the jungle, and bower means shady area in the jungle, and the rock and the plain and the mountain, all these elements of nature will help nature to educate and to supervise growth of Lucy. She will be in perfect care of that mother nature. Lucy will lead a very happy life. She will be as sportive and as gay, as cheerful as the young one of the fawn. Fawn means the young deer. Young deer means child of deer that frisk about the mountains and the valley. She will be so mischievous and she will be so sportive as young one of deer. And nature will teach her to love and care even insensate things of nature. Nature will make Lucy sympathetic. Not even human beings and not just animals. Lucy will love even the things which don't have any sensation, and to feel like a rock, like a wood, and to feel the joy of solitude. Lucy will be happy in solitude also, and in the company also. Clouds will teach her to walk decently. She will learn everything from nature. The cloud will teach her to become how to become a gorgeous human being. And willow tree. Willow is a kind of a tree, will teach her to be humble. Willow tree is a tree which bends. So that Lucy will learn humbleness from that willow tree, and she will be humble. And the floating clouds would lend her beauty. She will learn beauty from floating clouds. Floating clouds are very beautiful, na? So she will learn beauty from those floating clouds and majestic moment. How her moment should be majestic, like a clouds. The willow tree has a sense of humility. So she will learn humility from willow trees. And the sound of a stream provides sweetness and beauty to the Lucy, to the face of Lucy. So there is a sound of streams in nature, and that sound will provide sweetness and beauty to Lucy's face. Her face will be more beautiful watching those stream and listening to those songs. Even the motion of a storm would give her a face to mold her into perfect woman. She will learn everything, not even just from the good things of nature, but even the negative things of nature, like a storm. Storm is a very unlikely and very unwelcome thing in nature, but that Lucy will learn even from storm. She will not fail to see splendor even in the agitation of storm. So she will learn even the agitations, even the violent storm will teach her something. She would have the sensibility to enjoy the beauty of midnight stars. So she will enjoy beauty of midnight stars. She will enjoy everything about nature. She will admire the beautiful stars twinkling in the midnight sky. The streams that flow, those who sings will soothe them and enhance the beauty of their faces. So every elements of nature make Lucy beautiful and happy. The beauty of the stars that look bright at midnight, and the beauty of the sweet sound produced by streams during their downward course will reflect on her face. So she will be very happy watching all those things. These pleasurable experiences will fill her heart with joy and happiness. She would feel the overseeing power of nature everywhere she goes. So, nature will monitor her everywhere like a CCTV camera, like our mother. Our mother is with us whenever she is not with us, then also she is with her, like with her spirits. है ना? So, mother will be that mother nature will everywhere follow Lucy, and she will feel that mother nature is always with her, and she will feel her presence. She would feel the silent sympathy of nature in every odds of her life. Whenever she will have difficulty in her life, she will feel that she is not alone. The nature is silently sympathizing with her. Nature is silently supporting her. Nature will make her happy. When she will be young woman, her beautiful breast will rise and fall in a rhythmical movement. This is how Lucy will live in company of nature, in whom she will find a guide, a teacher, and a friend. So nature will be a teacher, a friend, and guide to Lucy. Thus, nature tries to bestow onto her of all the essential human emotions in her own care. So nature will shower upon her everything, like every human emotion can possible. So she will bestow everything on her. Nature did its work the way it had planned. Nature is very sympathetic, and nature did everything according to her plan, and she has left no stone unturned. But the life of Lucy in this world come to an abrupt end. She dies. She dies at the age of 3 only. All the hopes and aspirations of Mother Nature and the poet Wordsworth collapsed. It collapsed to the ground. She dies at the very early age. She is taken away by nature, and the poet is left quite alone in the valley. She has left behind only her memory. Now she is taken away by nature, and she is mixed with nature only, because when a person dies, she is buried into the earth, and she becomes part of nature again. Now, poet cherishes the sad and sweet memories of the past, how they two, the poet and the Lucy, lived together and how they are parted. So, poet was very fond of that Lucy, and poet has seen Lucy playing in nature and growing in nature. So, she's that poet, that William Wordsworth, is very sad to learn that so sweet girl Lucy is dead. Now he knows that Lucy is gone forever. She will never return. Only her memories remain with the poet and console him in his moment of distress. Now see, poet is very unhappy, but nature is not very unhappy. Why? Because even if Lucy is dead, she is with nature, because now she has become a, a earth with nature. Now she is earth. She is no more a human being, but she is earth. So she is a part of nature. So nature is not unhappy, though poet is unhappy. Philosophy of Wordsworth towards nature. Now this poem demonstrates very beautifully Wordsworth's conception of nature, Wordsworth's philosophy of nature. To him, nature is not mere a vegetation, not just a plant and tree, but a manifestation of God. Nature is a God to Wordsworth. Like a Hindu, we see God in everything, na. So that what see God in nature. Nature in fact is a breath of God, a unique gift. According to him, nature is the best teacher, and human being can learn the lessons of humility and humanity from that nature. The quality of being kind, calm, polite, and humble, and to be sympathetic towards all human beings in the best way in the lap of nature. So this is a philosophy of Wordsworth, that if any person is living in the company of nature, is living close to nature, will be kind, will be calm, will be polite, and will be humble, will be more humble and sympathetic to all human beings, rather than the person who is living in city. The poem is a city, or rather we can say that the person who is not living with nature and the person who has no sympathy with nature. So, nature teaches sympathy and love. The poem ends a beautiful elegy written to girl who died and whom Wordsworth admired not only for her beauty but for her connection to nature. So that Lucy was beautiful in her face, not just on her face with her face, but she has a very beautiful heart, and she was a child of nature. So as you know that Wordsworth worships nature, so she now that Wordsworth is in love with the Lucy. Wordsworth was not content to experience at the sight of natural objects that childlike joy which satisfied Copper and Burns, or the paint only the external features of nature like Tennyson. So these are the other poets like Copper, Burns, Tennyson. Those poets were also nature poets. They also loved nature, but these people like nature as a thing of joy. But for Wordsworth, nature was not just a joy, not just a childlike joy, but a god, but a means like living philosophy to him. On the other hand, with a rare skill, he looks beyond the colors of flowers, the outline of hills, the beauty of clouds, the spirit with which breathes through them. That is why he personifies nature in this poem and invests natural objects with a living, thinking, and feeling power. It is the power of nature which speaks to us in this poem and tells us how it intends to act as a friend, a philosopher, and a guide to Lucy, whom it takes away from the world at a very early age. So that poet is telling us that nature was not just nature, but that nature was a friend, philosopher, and guide to Lucy. Nature, we learned, will act both as an impulse and as a law to child. It will be forced to rekindle and restrain. It will awaken and inspire in Lucy good deeds and noble ambitions, and it will also stifle any bad tendencies. So, if there is any bad in Lucy, that nature will curb those things, and will try to make that bad also a good thing. Lucy, she grows up in the company of nature, will imbibe all the beauty of nature, which will be reflected in her figure, in her face, and in her thoughts, feelings, and aspirations. So, those beauty and those love of nature will be reflected in her conduct and in her face. We will able to know that she has been cared by nature. She will receive all the charms of nature, all the beauties of nature, which will serve as her ideal instructor. Nature will be her ideal teacher. Palgraves, a critic, notes that better title for the poem would have been Education of Nature. So Palgrave is a critic. He thinks that if the title will be Education of Nature, it will be better title. Now let's discuss about the critical appreciation of this Lucy poem. 3 Years She Grew is one of those well-known poems of the Wordsworth, which are generally known as the Lucy poems. In this poem, Wordsworth speaks about Lucy, a young, beautiful girl who was very dear to poet. This identity of the Lucy has not been established. Now she died at a very young age and left the poet alone to himself with nothing but a sad and sweet memory of past that was dead and could not be recalled. Who Lucy was, the poet does not tell us, but she figures in a large number of the poems and as such in the well-known lovely character of English poetry. So Lucy occurs in many poems of Wordsworth and more than four poems. The poet tells us in this poem that Lucy was so lovely and beautiful that nature herself decided to take her away from this world and have her to herself. That way, why the race of Lucy in this world was run so soon, and her life came to an abrupt and an early end. William Wordsworth's poems have been comfort to the sorrowful soul. His tone is mild, and yet he was not without immense suffering. His ability to infuse comfort into his pain through his poetry has offered peace and understanding to people for generations. So, people feel pain in elements of nature and joy also, and now, but ultimately, he gives us peace and understanding. Wordsworth experienced some of the deepest pain any human being has ever known, the loss of a child. There is a story that William Wordsworth went to France, and he had an affair with a girl, and later on they had a child, and later on that Wordsworth came back to England, and that child remained in France. So now Wordsworth had very much love with that child, and he always felt a loss of that child. So, the poem depicts the relationship between Lucy and nature through a complex opposition of images. Antithetical couplings of the words sun and shower, law and impulse, earth and heaven, kindle and restrain are used to evoke the opposing forces inherent in nature. A conflict between nature and humanity is described as each attempt to possess Lucy. The poem contains both epithalamic and the elegiac characteristics and features. The central idea of the poem is based on the teachings of French philosopher Rousseau. And what was the philosophy? According to him, a child allowed to develop his own natural curiosity and intuition is bound to shape into a better person than a child brought up in the artificial atmosphere of city educational institution. So according to this philosophy, if any child is being brought up in a very naturalistic atmosphere among trees and among streams, that child will be more natural, and that child will have more sensibility and love in comparison with the child of city. The poem is full of deep pathos. There is a sorrow, there is a deep sorrow. When we come to an end of the poem, we are shocked and grieved to read that Lucy, the beautiful child of nature, enjoying all the favors which nature can bestow upon her, dies a premature death. The poet is heartbroken. Poet is very heartbroken. Her his heart is heart rending. So we are also very unhappy. We have sympathy for poet in his loss. We feel sorry to find that such a gifted child died at such an early age. The poet own tribute to Lucy in the last lines of the poem shows his deep sense of pain. Our sympathy is evoked, our sympathy is raised towards William Wordsworth. As an elegy, this poem is a kind of elegy. The poem is a form of an elegy. It is a lyrical as a poet expresses his personal experiences and talks in a most pathetic words about the personal loss that he had in ultimate death of Lucy. It is a lyrical and emotional because of the sweet music that lends a peculiar charm to the theme of the poem. So this there is a music in this song, and it is giving very peculiar beauty to this theme of Lucy. It is also a narrative poetry. It is a kind of a story written under the romantic spirit. There is a spirit in this poem. The spirit is romantic. And the romantic spirit was there in the 19th century, everywhere. In this poem there is a freshness, there is a beauty and a pensive sweetness which gives it a unique place in literature. Now talk about the style. The language used in the poem is simple and beautiful. There is a sweet music, a very rare thing in Wordsworth. In this poem, the poem in this poem, the poem is written in a stanza of 6 lines each, and the rhyme scheme is ABCB. The tale has a direct beginning, and the key note is struck in the very first line. The loftiness of the theme, the simplicity of the poetic diction, a pathetic touch at the end, a coloring of imagination are a prominent trait of this poem. So, this is a very nice poem. Now, we will conclude this poem. The poem may be described as a lyrical ballads. So it has the quality of a lyrical ballad, a perfect lyrical ballad. It gives expression to the personal feelings of poet on Lucy. We know about the personal feelings of poet, how he felt about Lucy, a 3-year-old child. While it narrates the story of Lucy in verse, there is an extreme simplicity and spontaneity in this poem. It comes straight from the heart of William Wordsworth, and goes straight to our heart. It succeeds in creating a powerful impressions on reader. We are very impressed by this poem. Uh, Ultimately means I can say that I am very impressed by this poem, and what is with you. It has a fine singing quality which enhances its effects on our feelings. So it has a singing quality also, and so it enhances this effect and this feeling. Now, thank you so much. Thank you for patiently listening to me.